This is New York City yesterday at Carmine's restaurant on the Upper West Side, where a hostess was attacked physically by a group of people after she, following the laws of New York City, asked them to show proof of vaccination before she could seat them, doing her job, following the law. 3 women from Texas arrested and charged with assault. It's according to the New York Times. But it's not just this one incident. Life-saving vaccines are currently dividing our country, creating a new kind of COVID radicalism, as our friend A.B. Stoddard dubbed it earlier in the week. Our next guest, a New Hampshire state lawmaker, was so fed up with this radicalism, which he blames on an extremist GOP, that he switched parties. He switched his affiliation from Republican to Democratic this week because he says the Republican Party today has completely lost its way. Joining our coverage, that New Hampshire lawmaker, Dr. and now Democrat William Marsh, a former member of the Republican Party. I'm a former member, too. How do you feel?
Good morning, Nicole, or good afternoon, Nicole. I'm sort of sorting out the week. I haven't had time to digest it yet. But you're right. I'm not only a former member of the party, I was the vice chairman of the Health and Human Services Committee of the New Hampshire House. So that's where I'm coming from. We have even more vaccine craziness coming out today in New Hampshire.
What's happening today?
Well, today, the Fiscal Committee of the New Hampshire General Court rejected $27 million in federal funds earmarked for distributing the COVID vaccine in the state of New Hampshire. And I was worried about this. I mean, all of our citizens, well, not all of our citizens, a large number of our citizens want to get vaccinated. So I contacted Patricia Tilley of the New Hampshire Department of Public Health, and I asked her, what is this going to mean? And she told me it's going to mean 3 things. She says, by withholding these funds, we lost the ability to easily get vaccine to everyone who needs a booster, including first responders. She tells me we've lost the ability to plan for and distribute vaccine to kids. And while hospitals, my phone turns off here. Everybody has that pain, I guess. While hospitals are in crisis now, we made it harder for them to manage the vaccine. I mean, this does not help. The issue in New Hampshire is the people who are in charge of the fiscal committee do not want to provide the CDC and the FDA with the data that the CDC and the FDA require to distribute the COVID vaccine.
What are they hiding?
They're trying to preempt federal law.
Why?
I think they've lost their minds. I mean, why would you withhold access to a vaccine in the middle of a pandemic when numbers are skyrocketing in the state of New Hampshire? It's absolutely insane in my mind, which I can't put up with it anymore. So I said, I'm done with this. I've left.
What do you think? I mean, I quoted my friend A.B. Stoddard because I think the radicalization is the best way to explain the departure from a fact-based analysis. You can, I suppose, have an honest debate about vaccine mandates at what size business that makes sense. Do you do it at 20? Do you do it at 50? Do you do it at 100? The Biden administration chose 100. I could see a debate around what size company you put a mandate on. I don't see a debate around federal funds for vaccine distribution and storage and education and booster shots, as you're articulating. What fuels the radicalism in the Republican Party?
I think people are repeating ideas that they hear from wherever. I don't know where they're coming from, but they repeat them to themselves over and over again. And it's just like brainwashing. And at the end, they finally believe it. And when somebody says something different, like me, they shut them up.
How did they shut you up?
They told me in June, I believe it was June 3rd, on the floor of the New Hampshire House, that if I got up to speak against DeSantis-type regulations, which would prevent businesses from requiring vaccines, requiring masks, doing the things that we know control COVID, if I got up to speak against that, they were going to remove me from my vice chairmanship of Health and Human Services. I got up and spoke. We defeated that bill on the House floor. But they haven't spoken to me since, and this is where we are.
Is there an effort to cover up the number of cases of COVID in New Hampshire by Republicans there?
I think the Department of Health and Human Services is excellent at reporting the data on a daily basis. I'm sure you've been able to get the graphs from their website. I don't think there's any cover up there. It's not under their control. But I think that there's denial that the data is real.
And that's why they voted to not take the federal funds, because it would have come with the stick and the carrot would have been more disclosure of the state's COVID information.
I wasn't at that meeting. I was running the Rare Disease Advisory Council. I've been chairing the New Hampshire Rare Disease Advisory Council since its inception. But I became aware of this coming on, and it's just one more thing. I mean, it's just over and over and over again. Something comes up, and they're against vaccines. They are against masks. They're against anything, actually, that has been shown to control COVID. We have 400 members in the New Hampshire House. We are going to be required to meet in person in Representatives Hall for a veto session coming up in a few weeks here. And COVID is spiking in the state of New Hampshire. Not only COVID, but Delta COVID. My daughter goes to Connecticut College. Connecticut College has a vaccination rate of 99%. They test everyone before they go down there. They test everybody when they arrive on campus. When they started the school year this year, they had a handful of cases, like anybody does. Within a week, it had spiked to 6% of the college campus was infected and symptomatically infected.
Wow. Wow.
This is what's happening, and these are facts, guys. Our hospitals are getting overflowed with patients, not in New Hampshire so much as other places, but it's really only a matter of time if these policies continue. People are going to die.